I went through it. It's fucking meticulous. You'll see. I can't wait for you to edit one of these.
Yeah, I've edited things before.
Not like this.
Anyways, Keith, let's get this started.
You sound so depressed. Is it just to talk to me?
Let me tell you a little something about Birdman, okay?
Well, is that what? Are you going to introduce this, or I ask this every week?
It's Birdman. As I mentioned to you before, I think this is my least watched entry on my top 10 list. I have it at number 8, but I've probably only seen it twice all the way through prior to this most recent watch I did. And that's how much I loved it right out of the gate. That, like, the first time I saw it, I was just floored by it. I was blown away. And I thought, okay, this is one of my all-time favorite films for a lot of reasons that we'll get into. And then when I just watched it again this time, like, I am really happy I included it because I'm excited to talk to you about it because I think it's a really fascinating film and wonderful in so many ways. But I don't think it's one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time.
This is the worst. I was going to come in here and say, this is going to be a great episode because of how much I dislike this film. Like, I just personally, I don't like it. And which reasons I couldn't wait to talk to you about it because I thought you were going to defend it with all your heart because I feel, for the reasons I don't like it, one of the main reasons, it fits perfectly with a film that you would like because I feel like it's super condescending. I think it's super fucking highbrow for the sake of being highbrow, and this is art because we know what fucking art is, and that's you. And like Edward Norton. Edward Norton is that character. I can imagine you being like, I love Edward Norton. He's my fucking guy. Like, this character is exactly who I want to be. Because some fucking super method, taking the art so seriously and condescending it's like just, I see you so much in this film, or at least the caricature of what I think you are in this film. And I fucking hate it. And I just hate it.
I love all the stuff you've just said. Is great.
Oh,
I
it's
love
so
it all.
dumb.
I take
it's
it
so
all as
fucking
a very high
dumb.
compliment.
So I definitely want to get into that, but I feel like you take a little sizzle off the steak by saying like, yeah, I don't like it that much anymore. But where do you want to start? Like, I'm happy to just telling you what I hate about it, but it's your film. If you want to get into why I should like it, go ahead.
I would just say it makes me happy that films like this still get made. Like that's what I thought on this rewatch again. Just like, okay, whether it's a perfect film or not, right? I mean, whether you love it or hate it, it just makes me feel good that people are making like wholly original, interesting, non-traditional movies in this day and age. I love that there's 10 things going on. Like, I just like from a filmmaking standpoint and from a story standpoint, there's like so many things you can pick up on, so many arms to the creativity where most films can't successfully do one of those things right. And this one's got commentary about acting. It's got commentary about like the dearth of good films. It's got commentary about the importance of the stage. It's got all his personal stuff with his life and a broken down artist. It's got like, to me, this whole film is shot in such a beautiful way that it's the kind of one-shot-esque. But that is like the 8th thing. Like, down the list, if you start listing, like, I just love that they're like, well, not only are we going to do this, we're going to tell these stories, we're going to do this, I'm also going to tell this story. Also, let's make the film just be in one shot, just to really be even crazier. Like, it's very ambitious, and I appreciate that.
It just feels deep for the sake of being art, for the sake of being artistic. We want to make a super like independent film. Real art is like some college kid should have done it. And I just nobody notices you anymore. It's not even a complicated bells and whistles.
It insists upon itself, Lois.
The creativity, the stupid shots of the jellyfish. It feels like it's trying to do two things at once. It feels conflicting. It feels unnecessary. All this art and all this deepness and all this introspection. It feels self-serving almost. It feels self-serving. It seems extremely condescending to me, and I feel like it's on purpose. I feel like it's on purpose because of the even the title, the virtue of ignorance. I feel like that's a slight at me, the viewer. Like, you morons.
I love that you feel personally attacked.
I do.
By this film and
I
its
do.
intelligence.
As for someone to be as presumptuous to feel like they know what true art is.
This is hilarious. It's hilarious that you're this upset by it, and it's telling. I think it's revealing about, the content of the rest of your top 10 list.
I knew this because it is a microcosm. Because you're right. You're 1,000% right. It is sensitive to me because this is the argument I've had my whole life with kids at Emerson. Going to college at Emerson, where they go, what's your favorite movie? You're a film major here. What's your favorite movie? And I say my favorite movie is Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
And they go, my favorite movie is a fucking possum being run over 12 times, and that's it. And it's in black and white, and we love it. And like, that's art. And your shit isn't intelligent. When there are plenty of different versions of intelligent films, where this film is, to me, just saying like, nope, the theater is the purest form of art, and fucking real acting is so method that you got to blow your face off. Like, that's how deep acting has to be for it to be worth anything, and it's fucking insane.
You're getting hung up on this definition of art that I don't think is the message of the film. Again, like, that's just a message of a character or two, or that's what Keaton thinks is the right way to like get his credibility back as an artist. But I don't think that the filmmakers are making the point that theater in particular is the only correct way to do art.
Not theater, I don't think it's theater specifically, but I think they are drawing clear lines to what intelligent, respectful art is, should be, can be, is. They're defining it and sort of satirically mocking the other side of what's popular. Because that's the whole conundrum of the film. He wants to be relevant, he wants to be loved, and in the current climate, the only way to do that is to go viral and to be naked on the streets and to do dumb stuff that grabs people's attention. So yeah, I think that's exactly what they're doing. They're weighing those two options, and they're saying one is better than the other.
Yeah, but that objectively, it's like saying like if I said The Godfather is a better film than Dumb and Dumber, and you go, well, that's condescending and stupid. I'd be like, you're objectively wrong. Like, you are objectively incorrect. You might like Dumb and Dumber more, but like, Godfather's a better film. It's higher art.
I guess I'm not debating that. Yes, you can say it is a better film, but to so shit on different levels of enjoyment of what people get out of film and for what can be considered good and artistic in general. I would argue that Dumb and Dumber, just for this example, is artistic. It is intelligent. It doesn't make it just trash because it doesn't fit in this little box where this little community approves of what's happening.
It's interesting. I disagree that it's such a message of the film, because I think the film, while celebrating so much of the purity of that form or whatever, also sort of mocks it. Like, I don't think Edward Norton I think he's the full embodiment of that type of person, of that belief, right? He's so serious, but also like, so I don't care.
Why do you act like a dick all the time? Do you just do it to antagonize people?
Maybe.
And like, just so above everybody. But I feel like he's sort of mocked, like, throughout the film. Like, it's sort of like they're making fun of that culture simultaneously. Because I feel like Edward Norton's character is not a very likable person, even when you do kind of like him. And then the reviewer, the critic, Like, she's so over the top, unlikable, and so pretentious. They're mocking that at the same time. So that, like, kind of hurts your argument a little bit.
Maybe I'm biased again because of my sensitivity to the subject. But I to me, those are mouthpieces for the filmmakers. And a reason I say that they're erring on that side is because of how the film is so clearly shot. It's such a unique perspective, and that's fun. And I really like that people are telling stories in different creative ways. Like, that's not what I'm upset about. But because they're telling the story non-traditionally, feels like that's a tell to me that these filmmakers are like, we need to do something different than this run-of-the-mill bullshit that people are falling in love with.
Yeah, but what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that.
Here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with it if they weren't condemning the other side. It's one thing to be like, I want to be different, I want to be creative, I want to do this great epic. Then great, do that. Everyone should do that. But no one should do it at the cost of hurting the other versions of creativity.
That's
so
weird.
Stupid.
This is such a weird hill to die on for you.
I'm dying on this hill, baby. I'm here.
You can be as creative as you want, but don't insult other films or types of movies. It's like, why?
I think it is presumptuous and condescending to so vehemently define what art is and what intelligence is in filmmaking and storytelling.
Yeah. Okay.
Shut up! Fuck you! Shut up! Shut up!
All right, let me ask you this. What did you like about it?
Whew.
Yeah, yeah.
I do. It is a very good film. It is a good film. It's a well-made. I should say this. It's a well-made film.
Okay.
It's a well-made film.
I was waiting for you to be like, it is maybe one of the best movies of all time.
Yeah, I mean, top to bottom, you can't go wrong. No, I'm just saying I didn't enjoy it. Like, this is a favorite list. This is a list about favorite movies, so enjoyment has to be a big driver here. I just didn't enjoy it. But if I take my personal hat off and I put on my film critic and insight hat, I look at it and I go, yeah, it's inventive. I thought I was going to get a lot more like bored or tired of the one shot, feel to it. It was honestly a reason why I haven't seen it and it took me this long to watch, to be honest. I was like, I just didn't want to give it a chance, to be honest with you. I was closed-minded in that sense. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was a nice touch. I think Ed Norton was great in it. I thought his performance was the best and the most realistic.
He's a Hollywood clown in a lycra bird suit.
Yes, he is. But he's going out on that stage and risking everything.
So I thought his performance was great. And I think the story in general is an interesting one. And I always love any film that is left with points of interpretation, points for debate. Is he a real superhero? Did he really die? When did he really die in the film? What's in his head? What's not in his head? Like those themes are all things that I really, really do enjoy. So the film did a very good job on a lot of storytelling, filmmaking levels. I just didn't like what I was hearing. What do you think the film does best? What stands out the most for you?
What stands out the most to me is sort of twofold. The performances, and it's in a movie about performances, so I really like that. I think Michael Keaton is amazing. I was so mad that he didn't win the Best Actor for this year. I thought that had to happen. I just thought
Do you know who did win? I don't remember who won.
Eddie Redmayne. I don't think I've ever seen an Eddie Redmayne movie, honestly, and I'm just not interested. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Fuck him, all right? Fuck Eddie Redmayne. Michael Keaton really deserved this in every possible way. His performance is so wonderful, and that to me carries the whole film, is this reminder of how talented he is. I love, I don't want to get too far down this rabbit hole, but to use an overused word, meta, how meta it is that they got Michael Keaton to play this part with his past as Batman.
Right.
That makes everything hit harder for me, all of the emotions of that character. because you just see this, and I love how they show him constantly like with his shirt off and his aging body that's like breaking down, and just in his tighty whities, like just this sad shell of this old man. That it's just really powerful. The whole thing is really well done.
What I like the best part about what you're saying, just to touch on it, when they actually do see Birdman, it's a young man.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's clearly a different guy, and it's a younger, more fit guy, and it's like the way that he was or should have been, or like in his head what he thinks he really should be. Like I in contrast to having the old, frail, balding, guy. So I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah, and then I think it is the best Edward Norton's been in I don't know how long. He has a really strange career to me, where he came out like gangbusters, and to do back in the 90s to do American History X and Fight Club back to back are two pretty powerhouse. And I remember he was like anointed as being like the next great actor of his generation. And I remember he was in a movie called The Score with Robert De Niro and Marlon Brando right after American History X and Fight Club. And that movie was marketed as like the three greatest actors of their generations. And then he just never really did anything. Like, he's been in a ton of stuff, right? He's been in a ton of movies, some very successful, but like there was never like another defining role. And he just sort of pops up in Wes Anderson movies every now and then. He's obviously the Incredible Hulk, but I think he's kind of an asshole, and so like people don't want to work with him. And so I don't know. That's a whole nother thing. But to see him show up in this, like an important, timely, relevant movie, and just kill it. I just like, he's so good. You're like, really good. Yeah, this guy, this is why he's a big deal. And then Emma Stone, who I'm not the biggest fan of. I don't know why I don't like her more, but I think she is really talented. I just don't think I like a lot of her movies, so that's part of it. But she's so phenomenal in this. The scene where she yells at Michael Keaton, at her father, while she's like standing at the counter, like, and she really breaks him down, is like some of the best acting of the last 20 years.
Things are happening in a place that you ignore. A place that, by the way, has already forgotten about you. I mean, who the fuck are you?
I really like, I was really moved, and I kind of felt the setup coming, but I really, even looking at it, I was like, oh, I know what's going to happen, but I still bought into it. Michael Keaton's performance, when he's talking about his dad, when they're fighting, when they're like, Edward Norton's like in his underwear or whatever, and he's like talking about like his, his dad was a drunk and like he molested him or so. Like, and he starts like, when he goes like, like when he starts like he can't like catch his breath or whatever, like I was like, I know he's going to be like, acting, bro, to quote you.
Acting, bro.
But I still bought into it. I was like, wow, this is like, it still made me, even despite that, I was like, man, this is good. It was just all around very good.
Yeah, that's the other thing I love about this movie, and probably why I like it more than, or I think I like it more than I do, if that makes any sense. Because I love acting, I love movies that are about actors acting. Like, I love getting to see someone playing a character. I think that's really fun to watch. Done maybe most recently in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is another one of my favorite movies, because you get to watch like Leonardo DiCaprio playing a character, and then the camera turns on, and then you watch him shift gears to become another character. And I just think that is really fun. And that happens obviously throughout this film, Birdman. And I think maybe my favorite scene in the movie is really Edward Norton's introduction.
Hey, thanks for coming in on such short notice, Mike. I really appreciate it.
This is what I do. So you wrote this adaptation?
I did, yeah.
And you're directing and starring in your adaptation. That's ambitious.
Then he turns it on, like, and he starts really acting like Edward Norton, like, yeah, and he's like pounding the table.
What are you saying? You're saying love is absolute?
Yes! Yes! The kind of love that I'm talking about, it is absolute!
And you're like, shit, I'm getting the chills. Like, that scene gives me the chills, and you feel like you can see why Michael Keaton is like, we gotta get this. Like, this guy's a gift. Because, like, he's got the chills. Like, and there's so many different layers of, like, characters there, and I just love that. I just love it.
Yeah. It's super, when making films or being part of a set, creating, even a play, whatever it is. But from my experience making films, like when you feel, there's a moment when you feel like you unlock something.
Yeah.
And you're working something out, you're working on dialogue, you're working on whatever it is, and you're like, and it kind of just clicks, and there's it's like a euphoria boost. It's like, I feel like it's like a drug to some extent. You're like, oh my God, like this feels like we cracked it open, and that moment articulates that very well.
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite scenes as well.
In large part because of the cinematography, this film, more than others, I think, really captures the thrill of stage acting, which I've done. I mean, not like on a big grand scale, obviously, but I used to do like a lot of plays, and it's like that camaraderie and all the craziness backstage is just like a really magical thing. And the way the cameras like track the people as they walk onto stage and reveal like this giant crowd and like stay with them intimately, the characters on stage, and then it will kind of, you know, I love when you know, after he gets locked out and he runs through Times Square, and then he comes in and the show must go on, and he just does it from the stands, you know, from the seats.
Yeah.
Like that sort of thing, like that, because that sort of thing happens. Like that, you know, like we've done that before, like in our little crappy plays where it's like, oh, we gotta run out there, you gotta do this, like, and it's just like so crazy and unpredictable. And it's really like watching this movie just makes me want to go act. It makes me want to go like join traveling stage shows, and like it's just so much fun. And I feel like even if you didn't love this film, clearly, just from a creative production standpoint, it is sort of inspiring. Did you get any of that?
Yeah, although not as much, because acting was never my thing. Honestly, it made me want to do like table reads. It made me want to like workshop a script that I've been writing and get, you know, a handful of actors together and like hear the dialogue out loud, see the inflection, see the performances, where can I tweak things. Like it made me want to direct more than anything, and it made me want to work with actors because of how much they can really, I mean, I feel like every time we talk about things, the things that we like about these films are performances. Performances, like if you give shitty performances, it can ruin a movie. Like the weight really does stop and start with them, even if everything else is great. Even the script is great, the direction is great. Like actors, you know, have, I think, the most power because of what they can do, or how they can elevate something, or how they can kill something. Yeah. So it inspired me that if anything, it made me want to work with actors and try and find those best versions of the words that I'm trying to write or the emotions I'm trying to get across.
Besides being about fuck you and your taste, Keith, what would you say
specifically
the film was
Keith
about?
Macri? Yeah, yeah.
So you think it's about trying to seek one or the other, or the balance between love and admiration?
Yeah, I think so. It's to me the conundrum of the film that it makes the audience make the decision on, which I really do like. I like that. How they did it. The audience has to sort of make the decision of well, what really is more important, or what is the appropriate value of both of them? What's the proper balance, and just knowing that there is a distinction, because some people do, like the main character in the film, really get it confused, especially in today's age with, you know, social media and all that bullshit of just being like culturally relevant for a blip and mistaking that for like, well, I'm a celebrity, I'm really famous, or people really love me, you know, because I got 150,000 views on something. People really respect me, don't they? And those two aren't really equal. So yeah, I think that's the whole conundrum of the film.
Yeah, see, I feel like you could talk yourself into liking the message of the film if instead of focusing on like the superhero comedy insult aspects of it, you focus more on that like social media viral stardom aspect of it. Yeah. Like I think that could be interpreted. It could be interpreted that way too, right?
Yes, and I think I do think it's involved in part of it, but it hit such a sports spot for me. I get angry. We don't need to go over why. We've talked about it at length.
I'm just angry. So how does it end? What happens at the end?
This is something I definitely wanted to talk to you about, because to me it felt very clear. Like I felt like I got it as it unfolded, And then I was like, oh, I'm curious as to what people think, So I hit the old Google machine, and I don't think people thought what I thought.
Yeah.
So my interpretation is everything is real and happens, that you see happen, and the only thing that is not 100% real is Emma Stone looks down, looking at his father, dead, and then she looks up and smiles, and that moment is her getting it. To me, that's how I interpret it. That moment is her being like, I see the reality of what happened, he's dead, and then the light bulb goes off, and she goes, I get it, he's huge, like he's gonna be, and this is him flying because that's what he wanted.
Yeah,
so he goes, she goes, she can be happy because she thinks he's happy because this now killing him is a positive somehow in this weird, warped, fucked up version of life. Disagree? Agree?
I feel like every time I've watched it, I've thought it was a different meaning or a different ending. And so I guess that's cool, right? I mean, that is cool, is that you can interpret the same thing different ways all the time, even something you love. I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I feel like the first time I watched it, it didn't even, like, I took it kind of literally, like the ending. I was like, no, he flew. Like,
You think he flew?
Yeah, like, well, that was the first time. I was like, he really did, like, it is a metaphor in the sense that he is, discovering his own power and soaring away and, like, free, but I didn't think he killed himself. Like, that, I don't even think that crossed my mind, which is really stupid because to me it's, like, pretty obvious that that's what they're at least alluding to, right? After my most recent viewing, I thought, okay, he kills himself, he jumps, and her reaction to looking down and then looking up and smiling is sort of his last delusion. So that she comes in and, like, but that's all in his head as he's falling is what her reaction is going to be, because so many of his earlier delusions, so many of his earlier powerful experiences are clearly delusions. He just made up all that stuff where he's flying and being telekinetic and all that stuff. That just makes sense to me. But that almost seems like too cut and dry in a way. And then I really enjoy it. Like, I'm reading some of the theories that are like, well, no, he died on the stage. Like, he shot himself and died. And then that whole last scene is sort of like this purgatory in between imagination thing where everything's perfect. And because he's achieved everything he wanted, which I like.
I like that too, but then my question would be, then why kill himself again? Or then you just think he actually flies away?
Well, no,
because he's already dead?
One of the theories I read was that, like, he was still kind of in limbo because even though he had killed himself, he hadn't really separated himself from his ego of Birdman. And so that's like that final scene is everything's perfect, but he has to make that final separation. He takes the mask off, which is now bandages, and his nose is clearly bigger and a little more like beak-like.
Beakish, yeah.
Yeah, but he's like, he leaves Birdman on the toilet and says, fuck you, and walks out of the bathroom and said, now I'm free, now I can fly away and ascend.
Any of these versions of or interpretations are fine with me. I like the fact that there's room for guessing, and I like the fact that there's room for interpretation. I think that's the mark of a really good film.
Final thoughts. What do you got?
Objectively, I think it's worth watching. It's an interesting film. It's interesting subject matter. It's got great performances. It's well made. It's uniquely made. So it's definitely worth watching. I would never say it is a bad film. I definitely did not enjoy my film experience.
Perfect.
Everett, how do you feel about this film?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously really, even if I'm unsure of its permanence in my top 10 list, I really, really love it. I just love movies that are like challenging and unique, and I don't know, this is probably opening up the rabbit hole of things that you don't like about it, but I like movies that, like, I think there should be movies that make people feel stupid, that make general audiences feel stupid, because otherwise you're just eating fucking candy all the time. You're just eating candy and cake, and I just go and have candy and cake 24/7, and I like movies that are mainstream, that have a mainstream appeal, or that can like trick people to go into the movie theater because, oh yeah, I love Michael Keaton. And then they walk out like, that sucks. Because that's what people did with like No Country for Old Men and just about every Paul Thomas Anderson movie, which you know I love. There's a couple Paul Thomas Anderson movies that I don't particularly like. But as I've said to you before, like, I know I'm wrong. Like, I know I'm just not getting it.
I agree. I do want to say I agree with 100% of what you said. I do feel films should do that. There should be a wide range of different types of films for all to enjoy at whatever level you want to enjoy them at. I just get frustrated when people say it's an inclusion thing. We should all be included. There should be room at the table for every type of film.
So you're an activist. You're a positivity, inclusivity activist.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Every movie should be for every person.
No, not every person should. It should just be allowed. It should just like, it felt there. I don't want to repeat myself, but I'm going to one last time. It just shouldn't feel like this stuff is not allowed. Like,
Birdman is not like law, right? Like, it's not like it was like coded into law. And
no,
now
but I feel like
that's
the common conception.
It's just one person's opinion. It's just a movie.
But
it's just an opinion.
Tell me you don't believe that's because I feel it. I feel with every person, not every person, but with a lot of people involved with film that I have met over the course of my life. I went to school with a ton of them and have worked with a handful of them since then. And it's just even in conversation, there's an elitist attitude to film with people who are inside of film, and that bothers me.
Well, there is an elitist attitude, but that, to me, it has less to do with like the content of the films and just the fact that like making films is really hard and expensive. So you're either in the club or out. But thank God that there's like an elitist attitude about like true art, because like I don't think you can argue the fact that the most popular films are getting worse and are getting dumber. And this is a much bigger conversation because it's a much bigger problem, I think, is that society as a whole is getting dumber and doesn't want to think too much.
You're right. This is a whole nother topic. This is a whole nother thing. But the world sucks. And if people want to use television and film or books or whatever to escape, then they should be able to do that. Like, that shouldn't be frowned upon.
Of course they should.
Yeah, that shouldn't be. But I shouldn't be made to feel stupid for enjoying that, for enjoying those things. And again, I believe that there's a level of intelligence and a level of art and a level of genius that goes into some of the dumbest films out there.
Yeah, for sure. But it's hard for me to like say that there's not an objective difference. It's like you love films, like you're a film guy, but like films are suffering. The whole industry of films is like going away because the only movies that people will go see now are like more mindless, big explosions, Transformers stupidity.
Yeah.
And so like that's a real thing. So I don't think it's that crazy for like a more artistic director to have a little commentary on that in a film. Is like, yeah, man, like what happened to making things that should just be like good, that don't have to be Michael Bay Marvel money machines.
Yeah.
Like that's not that,
I know,
sorry that
it's not. When you say it like that, it's not. You're right. Like, you're right. You should, like, because the way that you're phrasing it is, we should have both, or at least that's how I'm interpreting what you're saying right now. Like, we want to draw attention to these other films, and they deserve love. They like these. There's tons of great films out there that aren't getting any love because they don't have explosions or The Rock in it. Like, so yes.
Well, those are going to be the ones that go away.
I know. Like, so when you say it like that, I go, yeah, that sucks. I don't want those movies to go away. I love going to the movies to see. But I don't. Fuck you.